Hey everybody. Okay. Um I did mess up today and the email is actually going out now. So if you haven't received it and you're here, congratulations. Um the hopefully we'll get a lot more people coming in a little bit though. Okay. He's always late. Hey. I messed it up always. Also, I was having trouble finding my cup. Very loud. Oh, I'm loud today. That's crazy. All right. Turn down. How's that? Distorted sound. Way distorted. Okay, how's that? Is that any better? Turn it down. Too much gain. That's interesting. Better. Sweet. Okay. It's because certain people, when I'm on Zoom, that might be in this room are like, Joe, Aaron, I can't hear you. See? So you can blame certain people in this room that will go unknown. But we'll give him a pass because he's actually responsible for today's live stream. So we'll give him a pass on it just for today. Maybe just for the next hour. That's it. That's what he gets a pass for. Did I lose some? Yeah, not totally, but I went short, the shortest I've ever gone. So it is it's quite short. But I didn't do my hair today, so I got a hat on. All of a sudden it got really hot. It's crazy. Maybe it's these lights pumping down on me. Okay. Okay, so I haven't built this layout at all that we're going to be building today. I know there's going to be several different ways that we can build it. So we're going to start from a completely blank slate. I'm going to show you what we're going to attempt to do. And then we're going to do it a couple different ways. At least I hope we're going to do it. Again, I haven't done it, so pretty sure we're going to make it done though. Let me go ahead and close this out. Actually, you know what I should do is probably at least load his little screenshot that he forwarded to me so we can have an idea of what we want. Where is it? Somewhere here it is. It's how can I download this? Save image. Save the downloads. Okay. Done. All right. Let's go ahead and share. Wapa. All right. We're gonna go into here. So this is the layout that we're trying to build. Okay. So essentially we have a two column layout. Okay. And, if you click on the leftmost column, which here is a number. Okay. It opens basically kind of like an accordion, right? But if you click anywhere else, it's going to open up a link to a different page. Okay, so kind of two different actions here. And we can't really use an accordion because accordion, basically this entire bar here is a link, right? And that's a tough one. So how can we get around that? Another thing, so first we're going to build this kind of statically, and we're going to see what stacks we could do. And then we're going to try to get it working in blog or feeds, okay, so that we can have multiple choices. And because sometimes building something statically is cool, and then when you try to make it work inside feeds or blog, you hit some roadblocks. So we're going to try to graduate and do both today, okay? Okay, so we're going to open up Stacks Classic here, okay? Good old Stacks Classic. And we're going to do a brand spanking new project. Okay. Open up a Stacks page. Someone's saying that my screen's flickering again. I literally, some weeks it happens, some weeks it doesn't. I haven't changed a damn thing about my setup. So I don't know. One day I will attempt to replicate it and figure it out. I tried to go back and watch the recordings of the live streams, and they're good. So I don't know. Don't know what it is. So if you're getting the flashy thing, sorry. Okay. So let's go ahead and start this page. We're going to do site styles. We're just going to chuck it up there. I like to just throw on Chuck's. Here, we'll do, here, make it minimalistic site style so we can add some stuff into it maybe. Okay. Let's just quickly build in, okay, we're going to do in this. And let's do a 2-column layout. Okay. And I'm just going to build this kind of very statically. Okay. First off, there's 2 things that I have ideas what we can do. Okay. First off, actually, I'm curious, like, so accordion is obviously what we want, right? Is there anything we can do in accordion? So let's just quickly build this out with accordion. Now, I'm not going to try to mimic that exact layout with the images and the exact text or whatnot. We're just gonna wing it. Okay, we're gonna wing it as we normally do. Makes it a little bit faster to wing it a little bit sometimes. All right, so we got an accordion, right? And it just has content. Let's just add some text in there. Okay. Where's my pink ones? There it is. All right. So here we have an accordion, right? Accordion drops down, and that entire doohickey, technical term there, that entire thing is a big old button. But can we make it link out? Curious. Just for fun, right? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna type in some HTML into here. Okay, just for fun, just to see what happens. Okay. All right, we're just gonna link to Video Pro. I have no clue if that's going to work. All right, let's see. So preview that. Oh, no. Oh, it's because this is a link unto itself, I believe. And yes, and you can't have links inside links. So, that doesn't work. That's too bad. All right. That question is answered. So accordion is definitely out. We can't have a link inside of a link. This ain't going to happen. Okay. Oh, when I'm not facing it, you guys didn't hear it here. Let me see if I can change the direction of a mic so it's always in front of me. Sometimes I kind of have it off to the side. Okay, so here, hopefully that's better. Kind of makes it so I can't see my screen too good sometimes, but okay. Hopefully that will fix the directional mic issues. Okay, so we're gonna build in a 2-column layout. Okay, and over here, we're just going to go ahead and add in a, we're going to add a button. You need a button. Do I have a, no. All right, we're going to do a button, and we're going to do like a number 1 in there. Okay. And, let's at least make it a little circle like he had in his layout. That could be, we'll do some stuff here. So, okay, we're going to add a class here. Let's just make it like round circle button. Circle dash button. Okay. So I got a circle button class. We're going to go ahead and add border radius. All right, we're gonna add, nope, not border rate. You know, I think I'm gonna rename this rounding swatch. Probably at least, maybe not now, but in the next version, because technically it's not rounding. It's called border radius, right? And it is one of the few things that I don't call it exactly what it is in real life, right? So it kind of drives me nuts that I call it rounding, but Okay. So we're gonna do circle. We're gonna do percentage, 50%. Okay. So that makes it sort of round, but it makes it oblong. If you notice, it's not perfect, right? And that's because it's not a perfect square. In order to make a perfect circle, you need to start with a perfect square. Okay. So what we need to do is we're just going to use aspect ratio. And we're going to do voila. And we're going to make it 1 by 1, which is a square. Okay. And that should, doesn't look like a square here, but that should do it. Let's have a look. That's a perfect square. Score. Okay. Sweet. Okay, perfect square. Now, what we're gonna do is in this 2 column, I'm gonna make we want the first column to basically shrink to content because I just want that first column to be just the button, and that's it. Okay. So let's go ahead and we're gonna go shrink to content on column 1, and always shrink to content, even on mobile. Okay. And then over here, this is where we're going to add in our column 2 is going to be auto. So column 2 is going to be auto, and that's just going to eat up the rest of the space. Okay, and let's add a little bit of gutters because it's always fun to have gutters. Okay, that's a lot of gutter, but that's okay. Maybe we don't need so much gutter there. There, just horizontal gutter and padding. And then we're going to add in, I'm just going to add in a header into here. Okay. And we'll be boring. We'll say this is my header. Sure. Whatever. Okay. Let's preview that. Voila. So that's quite a bit of padding. Let's just go ahead and reduce that a little bit. All right. A little bit closer. There we go. All right. So basically I need to replicate this. Okay. And I want this to open up something below, and I need this to be a link to something outside, right? All right. So we'll start off. The easy part is the link, right? This is just a link. So we're going to add a link to here, and all right. So this has a link, okay? And actually, let's go ahead, and another thing I'm going to do is we're going to add in a, just to kind of make this. So what do we want to do? Let's go ahead, and I'm going to add some padding onto this just to bring it down the page a little bit. I'm just going to do PY 48. Okay, just bring it down, and then in here we're going to have let's not worry about styling right now, but we want some. Okay. All right, let's just do, I'm going to have multiple of these. All right, let's do quite a few. I'm just going to copy paste. Okay, there we go. Now let's add some differentiation to them, or however the hell you want to say that. Okay. Another thing I want to do is let's do. Actually, you know what could be fun is I'm gonna go ahead and do column 2. No, I don't want it to be shrink to content. That would be stupid. Never mind that. Okay. But let's add a little bit of color to this. So we're going to do BG secondary. Okay. Does that look okay? It's okay. All right. Here, let's go ahead and if you notice in here, like it's kind of funky. It's got some, it's not really like centered. So what we want to do is we want to add in or we want to remove the bottom border, bottom margins. So we're going to remove the bottom margin on that and remove the bottom margin on that. Okay, and voila. Okay, so we're getting close. Okay, here, if you noticed the this text is not perfectly center aligned with that button. Okay, so what we want to do is we're going to go into vertical alignment, set that to middle. Okay, and voila. Now that text is vertically aligned with the button. Okay. Now, obviously, this is very small. So what we could do is we can add a little bit of padding. There we go. Sweet. I like that. So I have a little bit of padding all the way around. This text is perfectly aligned with this button. If we preview this in the browser, this should link to a web page. Perfect. That's the easy part, right? Okay. Now let's go ahead and we're going to, when we click this button, it should do something. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and let's add in a container here. And I'm just going to add some text. Okay. And let's make the container. All right. Let's go ahead and do BG secondary on that as well. Okay. And we're just going to add some text into it. Okay. Oops. And let's see. See, they're not lining up. That's because over here, I just want this to be sizing. I don't want any gutter. So you could either do site width, full width, or auto no wrapper. I'm just going to do auto no wrapper on that bad boy. And that didn't do what I wanted it to do. What happened? That's odd. Why is that? What? Oh, it's because I should be using a one column on that. Okay, instead of a container, I can use a one column. That way that we have the same gutter logic going on. Okay, one column. That should. Oh wait, but we need to add BG secondary. What's going on here? There we go. Okay. So now we're all matched up. Probably an easier way to do that would be to be honest, would be what you do is if you, instead of trying to line up background colors, what you do is you put both of these inside of a container that then has a background, right? So basically then that's better. I was trying to not have to put an extra stack on the page, but it is the better way to do it. So now they're both BG secondary, right? Now it's going to be perfectly lined up all the time because these fill up the same exact thing. Okay. But what I want to do is I now want to show and hide this one column when I click on this number one. Okay. So how are we going to do that? First off, we're going to use, we're going to try to stay inside Foundation 6. We're going to use a toggler. Okay. So let's do, I'm just going to call this show hide. Okay. I think that makes sense. Right. So when I click on this button, I need to, add or remove this, basically the show hide class. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's do that. So let's go ahead and I think it's in components. We're going to put where is it here? Where is it? Toggler. Okay. Wonder if you could do animate click as well. You could animate. No. This animates this thing you click. That's not what we want. All right, we want to use toggler. Okay. Now I know toggler sometimes can be confusing to some people. Okay. So let's analyze this. Okay. So we have multiple things. Okay. This particular there's 3 different classes that we need to be aware of. Okay. The first is this is going to be what we want to add or remove a class on. Okay. So that's actually let's call this a show hide container or content. Okay. All right. So this is going to be show hide content. This is going to be a show hide trigger. Okay, just so we know. So we have this. Oops, I deleted my other class by accident. I need that to be circle dash button. All right. So this one is the show hide trigger. This is the show hide content. So those are 2 specific things that we need. Okay. So up here, we're going to do show hide content. Okay. And then we're going to skip this toggle class for right now. And then this is the trigger class. So this is going to be show hide trigger. This is what we're going to use to trigger the toggle. Okay. And we want to trigger it on click. Okay. So basically what this is going to say is, let's actually preview this. And whenever I click this button, okay, it should toggle on and off, this toggle class on this trigger, on this one column, because it's the show hide content. Does that make sense? Okay. So when we click on this trigger, it's going to take this class, and if it's there, it's going to remove it. And if it's not there, it's going to add it to this. All right. Just so we can see that in action, we're going to preview this in the browser. Okay. And this is really big. Let's go ahead and make this a little smaller. All right. Oops. Come on. There we go. And we're going to open up the inspector. I'm going to click on this number 1. All right. Now, I haven't added any animations yet. I just want to show you what this is doing. Okay, let's find in the code here. Make it a little bit bigger for you to see. Let's find that show hide here. Okay, show hide content. Okay. Now, if you notice, it has the toggle classes because I clicked that button. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click this again. If you notice, that class is removed. So I click on the trigger. That class, that toggle class is there. And then when I click on it again, it's removed. Just adding and removing a class. That's all that swatch does. Okay. Seems simple, but super powerful. Okay. So what we want to do is I want to toggle the show hide class. Okay. So we're gonna do a toggle show hide. Okay. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add and remove styles from the content. Okay. So if something has the show hide class, and actually what I want to do is we're going to go ahead and add in for fun, just for now, I'm going to do something simple. I'm just going to do a display swatch. And if something has show hide, okay, I want to hide it. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and do display none. Okay. So let's go ahead and preview that. So now when I click on this, it hides it. When I click on it again, it shows it. Pretty simple. That's it. Okay. But we can go better, right? I mean, we want to get a little fancy. Now that this makes a very basic thing work very easily. Okay. But now let's take it up a notch. And we want to, when we click on this button, we want that to like grow, right? We want to just kind of like an accordion would do. Okay. So, unfortunately, we need to ditch this display swatch to do that. Okay. We need to go a little bit more in depth. Okay. And something that probably isn't apparent, but the display attribute, basically hiding and showing something, isn't animatable, if that's a word. Okay, you cannot animate that with CSS. Okay, or with Java, you can't animate that at all. Okay, either shows or hides. That's it. Boom, boom. That's it. So we need to do something different in order to animate this. And if we want it to like grow and hide, what are we changing? Right? Well, we're changing the height. Okay, so what we can do is we can make what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in, so by default, I want this to be hidden. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, on show hide content, I'm going to go ahead and add in a height swatch because we want this to grow and shrink. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and by default on the page. Now, this is something that probably isn't apparent. Okay, now we could go ahead and actually, let's do this first. I'm going to make this a height of 0. Okay, so show hide content has a height of 0 by default. So you see on the page, it's 0. We can't see it. Effectively the same thing as display none. Has a height of 0. Okay, and what we're going to do then is we're going to add in another swatch. Okay, and what we're going to do is if it's show hide content, or if it's just show show hide. Okay, I probably should have picked a different class than that. I'm going to change this. I'm going to set this to be open. Okay. Actually, here, let's just do sh-open so that maybe open is used somewhere else. So let's make it kind of specific. So we're going to do sh-open now. Okay. And if on show hide content, we want this to be height 0. And if it has an sh-open class, okay, if it has an sh-open class, we want that height to be something different. Now the problem is here, we can do height auto, right? Which means because maybe we don't know the height of that content, right? So we could set it to be like a height of 256. But what happens if we don't know what that is? So let's make sure that works. Okay. So now, but if you look here, there's some empty space here. It's because we've made this a static content area, right? I mean, it's static height. So if I were to have, let's say, 2 text content areas in here, okay, and if I click on that, look, it gets cut off, right? So that doesn't make sense. Okay. So what can we do? Okay, again, as I said, let's try height auto. Okay. And let's go like this. Hey, that's not bad. Okay, but this isn't animating yet. Okay. So how can we animate this? So what we can do is to animate things, a simple way, if you've probably known, is something called a transition. Okay, and transition, there it is down here. Okay. And we're going to put a transition on show hide content. And the reason we want it on show hide content is, and not sh open, is because the sh open class isn't always there. Okay. So show hide content is always going to be there. Okay. So we're going to do that. And you can specify specific property, or you can just use the default of all. Okay. And yeah, so now we're just going to, this is going to animate all properties over 1 second. Let's preview that. Wait, that didn't work, Joe. Now I knew this wasn't going to work. Okay. And again, this is just an experience thing as well. Okay. Is that you cannot animate something to a height of auto. You can only animate it to a specific height. So let's change this back to 256. Okay, just to show you. If I go ahead and click on that. Ooh. Okay. But it's still cutting off the content. What the heck, man? Okay. So we need to, we're close. We're getting there. Okay. But we need to go a little bit farther. Okay. So essentially what we're going to use, we are not going to use height. Okay. So I'm not going to use height at all. And what we're going to do is we're going to use max height. Okay. So by default, I want the maximum height to be 0 pixels. Okay. Then when it's open, okay, I want to set the maximum height. Now here, you can only go up to 256 again, Joe. What the heck? Let's try, actually, I haven't tried this. Let's try fit content. That's interesting. I don't know if that's animatable. Okay, so let's do that. I can go ahead and do this. Nope, that's not animatable, Joe. Darn. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to detailed. Okay. And I'm going to set max unit pixels to be 1,000. Okay. And essentially what this is doing is we're setting, now this content is not 1,000 pixels. Okay. But what we're doing is we're animating the max height attribute and the maximum will be 1,000. So if our content is 500 pixels, it will still work properly. If it's over 1,000 pixels, it's going to limit it to be 1,000 pixels. So you might need to make this bigger if you have a lot of content. Okay, but let's see if this works. Voila. There we go. Now I do recommend that you make this value as small as possible. Okay, so try to figure out, and the reason is, okay, so we have this currently animating at 1 second. Okay, and let's do this. I'm gonna go ahead. Let's look at this animation. Actually, let's exaggerate a little bit. I'm gonna make it bigger. Okay, so you see that animation? It animated all the way down and all the way up. Now, take note of the timing of that. Okay. Now, it does take a second to do that. Now, I'm not sure exactly how large this is. Let's just get an idea. That is approximately 800 pixels. Okay. Close to 1,000. But let's go ahead and I'm going to delete 3 of those. Okay. Now let's check out the animation. It looks a lot faster, right? And if you look here, when I click on it close, it looks odd. Okay, it's not the exact same as when we had a lot of content. And the reason is that timing is animating as if it were going to do, even though this is only probably 200 and some odd pixels, right? You have 212 pixels. The animation timing is based on 1,000 pixels because that's what we set our max height to be. Okay. So now there's no changing that, right? And this is a little hack that means it does mean that large content and small content could have some slightly different animation speeds. Okay. But if your content is relatively similar, no one's going to really notice. Okay. And it's really only more noticeable when you have slower speeds, like a second or something like that. Normally you would actually animate something like, 300 milliseconds or a half second, right? Something like that. So there is a caveat to that, but it does work. Okay, so let's go ahead and if I were to, and what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna so let's do that, and then we're gonna go to height, and let's set that to be more like, I don't know, 800 pixels. Okay, something like that. So again, you're gonna want to set this to be something that all of your content is gonna fit within, but you want to make sure it doesn't get cut off, but you want it as small as possible. Okay. Oh, and I clicked on the wrong thing. Hold on 1 second. I click on the number. Voila. Pretty slick, right? All right. Now let's look at a different way of doing this. I'm actually going to go ahead and add it. Actually, let's delete that. I'm going to duplicate this page. Let's do this as toggle. All right. We're going to duplicate this. And now we're going to use Peekaboo. Okay. All right. So now we're going to use Peekaboo. And so in order to do that, we don't need any of these bad boys here. Don't need any of that. All right. We'll keep those 2 swatches because that's pretty much our button. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add in Peekaboo. We're going to add a Peekaboo stack. Okay. And just to make things simple, I'm going to use this Peekaboo launcher. Okay. You could just add a attribute to a button. I think it's PAB launcher. Okay. But yeah, we're just going to do that. All right. And what I'm going to do now is we're going to just, whoops, that was weird. What the heck? There we go. We're going to move that 1 column into the Peekaboo. Okay. So let's look at these settings here. So this Peekaboo, you give it a launch ID. We'll just leave it as Peekaboo for right now. Okay. And this launcher is going to, on click, we're going to toggle Peekaboo on and off. Okay. So, and then Let's see. Let's look at, I think that's it. Voila. And we're done. Okay. Now, if you notice here, Peekaboo does cut this content off because it does have a maximum size attribute. And here you can do small, medium, and large. Okay. We had set to 500, right? And you can adjust those. Okay. So essentially, Peekaboo is doing something similar to what Toggler is doing. Okay. Peekaboo actually does a lot more. It has a lot more kind of state and various things. And you don't need to know all the various swatches that I added, right? You just kind of throw Peekaboo on the page, and you saw how easy that was. Okay. So there we go. Peekaboo. Now, we want this. We don't want just one instance of this on the page. We want multiple, right? So let's go back to Toggle. Okay. And let's go ahead and we're going to copy and paste this. Okay. Now I have 2. Let's go ahead and change this one to be 2. Oops. Okay. So if I go into here, now I have 1 and 2. Now what if I click on this? Oh no, it opened both of them. If I click on this one, oh no, it opens both of them. All right. So in order to do this, essentially, we would need to duplicate the toggler, okay, so that it had special instances for each one. Toggler is really kind of a let's see. There is, okay, hold on one second, but there is a toggle only trigger children. Oh shoot. When set, only elements found within the trigger element will be toggled. Oh, okay. Yeah, this isn't a child of the trigger, so darn it. Yeah. So in order for this to work with toggle, okay, you would need to duplicate all of these swatches again, okay, in order for it to work individually with this guy. All right. Now you some things like this show height content could work, right? And you can also keep this one. So here, let's do it. Okay. So over here, down here, we're going to do a different trigger. So we're going to do show hide trigger 2. Okay, I'm just going to add a 2 at the end to keep things simple. And we have show hide content 2. Actually, we're going to do show hide content and show hide content 2. And I'll show you why. No, actually, we can't do that unless we, yeah, we're going to do show hide content 2. That gets kind of crazy to explain if we try to do both. All right, so there we go. We have 2 classes. All right. And essentially now we're gonna duplicate this. Now to make things simpler, actually what we're gonna do is we're gonna add in a pen, okay? And I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna chuck all these in here. And we're gonna call this toggle 1, okay? And then guess what I can do? I can just go copy and paste, and this is going to be toggle 2. Okay. And in here, we're going to go to each one, and we're going to target the content 2. Okay. And in here, we're going to target the content 2. We can leave SH open, actually. And then we're going to toggle that. Essentially, basically, this SH open actually is going to be a unique one, or just kind of outside. It doesn't need to be made specific for each one. Okay. And then height here, we're going to do content 2. All right. You could potentially factor out the transition and the height swatches by like extracting and using a different class to manage that versus the toggle. But just to keep it simple, for this example, we're going to duplicate these 3 swatches. So this should work. Let's go ahead and check. So now I click on that. It does that. Clicks on that. Does that. Nice. Sweet. Okay. So that is toggle using multiple. Oops. Actually, here, let's save this so you guys can all get this. Let's just call this toggle layout. Okay. Man, I just noticed that it's 12:15 already, and we want to do this with Peekaboo. Okay. Replicating this with or we want to do this with feeds after. Okay, we're gonna replicate this now with Peekaboo. Okay, so I'm just going to copy and paste this, just to keep things simple. Okay, and all right, let's make this one Peekaboo 2. All right, again, just by keeping everything the same, we're duplicating it. Okay, so we're gonna have to make them unique for each instance. Okay, and that's pretty simple with Peekaboo. So we're just gonna do we're gonna do launchers Peekaboo 2. Okay, and down here we're gonna make Peekaboo 2 the launcher ID here as well. Okay. Now, what we can do is we can close others with class. Okay, and what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna close Peekaboo 1. Well, let's do, actually, we're going to do, what was it? Show hide content. Okay. So in here, I want to close everything else that has, but the, on this Peekaboo instance, I want to do a show hide. And we're just going to do show hide. And I want to close everything else with show hide. So we're going to do here is Peekaboo. We're going to close other class show hide. All right, so there we go. And that gives us the ability to, oops, how come that didn't, when I clicked on that, it closed that one, but when I clicked on that one, it didn't close. Let's see if we can fix that. All right, sorry if you hear the dogs barking. Gardner's here. I tried to ask him not to come until 1 o'clock, but he came early today, unfortunately. Okay. Let's go back into here. So we had, see, this Peekaboo closes with others with class show hide. And this closes others with class show hide. Let's see. Leave closed class empty. Oh, I forgot to do that. There we go. I forgot to put the show hide class on this Peekaboo. All right, so now if we do this, voila, now they're individual. All right, but these, if I click on this header, then that links to the actual page. Okay, so that's cool. We show and hide classes for Peekaboo. Sweet. Okay, now let's go ahead and see what we can do with feeds. Okay, now I'll be honest. All right, to speed things up, I was going to try to take this example and plop it into feeds, and then take, Peekaboo and plop it into the feeds. I'll tell you right now, it's not going to work. Okay, that would have been cool to just show you, hey, look, we trying this and it fails. I'm just going to tell you right now, it's going to fail. Okay, and the reason is Peekaboo, as you probably are aware, if you use something like Total CMS blog or Total Loop or feeds, the content is only editable inside the HTML on the actual web page. But with Toggler and with Peekaboo, a lot of this data exists in the JavaScript, okay? And feeds and Total CMS don't have access to that. So what can we do? We're gonna have to take a completely different approach, a very interesting approach, and it will be fun to actually build this. This is probably gonna take a little while, okay? Because I'm probably gonna take it slow to teach you guys and show you guys everything that's going on, okay? So if you have to leave, I understand, because we're almost approaching an hour already, okay? Hopefully you've already got a lot out of what I've shown, but we're taking it to the next level right now, okay? All right, And so we're going to duplicate this. And this is going to use something called radios. Okay. Not a typical use of what you think a radio is used for. Okay. But let's go ahead and get her done, or try to get her done. All right. First off, we're going to go ahead and let's look at radio. Oh, over here. All right. What is a radio first? All right. Let's just add a couple of radios to the, and what we're going to do is we're going to make sure they're all the same name. Okay. So field name radio. I'm just going to go ahead and add a couple. Okay. And let's preview. All right. So we have radios. And if you look, a radio only allows you to have one selected if it has the same field name. Perfect. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to hijack that. Okay. Because something that I know that you might not know is you can target something with a radio. Okay. You can target a radio if it's checked versus unchecked. Okay. So the idea here is if we're going to hide a radio in these buttons, and when I click on it, it's going to make it checked. When it's checked, it's going to open up this box. When it's unchecked, aka when I click on, ooh, but a radio can't be unchecked. I didn't build this before. So a radio can't be unchecked. So that is a drawback. Okay. But guess what can be unchecked? A checkbox. Okay. So for right now, I'm going to build this. I'm actually going to move. I'm going to change. We're going to build this with a checkbox. With a radio, though, if we used radios, it'll be the same exact implementation as if I did a checkbox. But with a checkbox, you can have multiple open. With a radio, you can't. With a checkbox, you can have things, all of it closed, but a radio, you can't. All right. Maybe we can quickly do it with. We'll continue with radio, and then I think it'll be pretty simple to replicate it with checkbox in a little bit. You can kind of see the difference in behavior. Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is, oh wait, I need to remove Peekaboo Launcher, and remove this from, remove Peekaboo from there because we're not using Peekaboo. All right. Okay, so let's just work on. Actually, you know, I am going to use checkbox for right now, and then we'll do radio. Okay, we're going to use checkbox, and I'm going to give this a class of give this a class and just call it toggle check or toggle trigger or not. Because it's supposed to be the trigger. Okay, so let's go ahead in here, and in here, basically you can see I have a checkbox and I can check it and uncheck it. Cool. All right, and just for fun, I'm actually going to delete the label. Okay, and we're not going to have any value. All right, we're not using this checkbox as part of a form. Okay, it is purely It is purely to be a checkbox. Okay. I like it. Now what we need to do is when I check this checkbox, we're going to use the similar height attributes. Actually, let's go ahead and copy those. We want transition. I don't want toggler. I want height, and I want height. I want these, so we don't have to redo those. Okay. So, so I want the transition on show hide content, which is this. Okay. And then I want the height to be, the max height to be 0. And when we add sh open, it's going to be a max height of 800. Now, we're gonna have to change this particular swatch because we can no longer guarantee, basically base our logic on this being open, okay, or this class being there, because we need to base it off this checkbox being checked or not. Okay. Now, I actually it's the same swatch, but we're gonna have to go pretty advanced here. Okay, this is definitely advanced. Super cool. This is advanced. Okay. I'm gonna give first off, we need to give the container that's holding all of this a class. Okay. So we're just going to do we're gonna call this item container. Okay. Okay, just because this is an item. Okay. Or no, here, let's call it toggle container. Okay, toggle container. Okay, so this is toggle container. Okay, I may need to add, I'm gonna open up VS Code really quick just to show you this, what I'm doing here. And this is gonna be overhead of a lot of you, I know, but this is we need to target some stuff with CSS. Okay. So first off, we need to base something on toggle container. I'll make this big as possible. Okay. So I want toggle container, and remember, inside of this, I gave the checkbox the toggle trigger. Okay. And if you know CSS, we can do something like this. Oops. Okay. I can do toggle container if it has a toggle trigger inside of it. Now, what I need to do is I need to target, actually what I need to do is I need to target this show hide content. Okay. So we're going to do this, show hide content. And we're going to do max height just to have something in here to show you. Max height, 800 pixels. Okay. And let's go ahead and get CSS in here. All right. Now, this, we only want to trigger this logic when in between here is that checkbox is checked. This is sort of bleeding edge CSS. I actually use it in Stacks now, because it is supported by like 93%, I think, of browsers out there. And that's something called has. Okay. Swatches do not support has yet, in sort of something. Maybe the next version of Foundation, we can build this in. Okay. But so if toggle container has toggle trigger that is checked. Okay. Let's analyze this. So if toggle container has a toggle trigger that is checked, apply these styles to show hide content. Prior to a year ago, you had to write multiple lines of JavaScript to accomplish this. Okay. This is my favorite feature in CSS of the past 10 years. Okay. Is this has. This is amazeballs. Like, okay. So how can we use this in our swatch? I'm going to take just the selector part of this. Okay. And we're going to put that inside of this swatch, because in here, in the CSS of a swatch, you can type in whatever you want. Okay. So whatever advanced CSS selector you need to do, there we go. So we're going to use that, and that we have our fancy has selector in there. And essentially now, when I check this box, okay, the height of this should change. And I haven't done this, but it should work. So it's hidden by default, so that's good. And when I check this, Voila! Oh my God. How cool is that? Hey, everyone's still in the chat? Man, how is this? Come on, give me some feedback here. That is freaking cool. Guess what? Zero JavaScript for this at all. This is 100% CSS. This is chef's kiss. This is amazing. Okay? Again, this wasn't possible a year ago. Pretty cool. Okay. But next up is we have this checkbox, but that looks ugly, right? What can we do? Okay. This is ugly. So, what we can do is I'm just going to position this effectively over the button and then make it transparent. That's it. Okay. So, let's go ahead and on toggle trigger, we're going to go ahead and do a position swatch. Okay. And we're going to do it on toggle trigger. And we're going to do relative to parent. And actually, to make it relative to parent, to make sure it's over this button, what I'm going to do is I'm going to chuck in a container in here. Okay. And we're going to make it position relative. And we want to do auto no wrapper. So I'm going to move both of those into there. Okay. And position this is, we want to position it percentage wise. We want to do it top 50%. Okay. Left 50%. And then we want to center the origins. Make it a z index of, I don't know, let's give it like 2. Okay, just so it's above. All right, and let's preview that. All right, so now I have, interesting. Okay, it's not really center on the button though. Okay. And actually, to be honest, this doesn't need to be a button anymore. It could just be anything. Okay. But let's tweak that position swatch a little bit. Let's see. If I did top 0. So that goes there. How come top 50% goes down there? Interesting. Well, let's preview this. Inspect. Is it the margin? No. Hold on. Let's look at. Oh, let's turn off inline checkboxes. That could be affecting it. Okay. Transition Y. All right. Now I'm curious here. Let's see. Let's inspect this again. And we're going to do, can I make this bigger? Oops. Oops. Haha, nice. Okay. Still unsure why it, well, actually, if we do width and height 100%, we could just do top 0. Okay, cool. I like this. Okay. So on here, I'm just going to do utility classes. I'm just going to do W full and H full. Okay. I think that's good. And then on our position swatch, I'm just going to make it 0, 0. All right. Oh. Maybe I got those classes. Oh, no. It works in... Oh, interesting. It works in Arc, but not in. What happens if we preview in Safari? All right. Well, it works in Safari. You just visually, if you see, I can click anywhere on this button, and that checkbox is working in Safari. Right? Is it the same in preview? Yes. Okay. So now our checkbox is there. Now we don't want to see it. Okay. And that's super simple. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to do a opacity swatch. And we're going to make toggle trigger have an opacity of 0. Boom. Check that out. How amazing is that? Okay. Now, if you notice, a minor thing is if you hover over this, we don't get the pointer anymore. So we could just use the cursor swatch on, on toggle trigger and make it pointer. Right? You can also do fancy stuff if you wanted it to be like, yeah, not move. What would be something potentially interesting? Like help, maybe? Yeah, that could be interesting, right? So you can go ahead and preview that. And then when you hover over the button, you get that. Look at that. Pretty cool. I like it. Now, if you notice, this is, hold on, what's going on here? Something's below this button. Let's see, inspect. Oh, I think I just, because I added padding or whatnot. Okay. Oh, this checkbox still has display. Interesting. Because I'm doing that. Interesting. That still doesn't fix that though. Interesting. All right. Well, that's a minor thing. I know I've eaten up a lot of your time because we want to replicate this multiple times now. All right. So at this point, I can copy and paste this container as many times as I want, and all my CSS should work. Right. I don't need to replicate it or duplicate it or do anything like that. All right. So now I have this button. Let's go ahead and do this. Now again, because they're checkboxes, they're separated. Okay. Now this has extra padding because I think I added padding to that container that I copied and pasted. But here, let's do. Yeah, I did. I should have done that differently. There we go. Sweet. All right, so there we go. That was checkboxes, not radio. Let's do it one more time. We're going to duplicate that. And we're going to do radio. Okay. And let's show you how we can do it with a radio. So essentially here, we're going to go into, we're just going to swap out these checkboxes for radios. And actually, all of our code, as long as we put in these classes, all of our same code should work. And here, I don't want a label. I don't want a value. Let's turn off inline. Although inline might not be an issue anymore. Let's try that. I'm going to copy this. We're going to paste that in here. delete the checkbox. All right, let's preview this. Now, if I click on this one, it should, boom, it closes that one. All right. Now, the thing is here, though, with radios, as I said earlier, I can't turn off a radio because one has to be, clicked at all times. And the reason it wasn't on page load is because it's theoretically wrong. You should always have a radio, at least one radio checked. Okay. So like this first one should be checked by default. If you notice when I set that to be checked, it's open. And when I click on these, they will dynamically animate individually. Okay. Okay. So now with this particular layout, since this is completely separate from all the logic, which is in our swatches, we should be able to replicate this with feeds, no problem. Okay. So really quick, feeds or total CMS. Okay. I'm going to chuck feeds on the page just for right now. And we're going to use, we'll use the radio option. Okay. I'm going to duplicate the radio and, we're going to call this feeds plus radio. All right. And, all right. We shouldn't need to change our styles at all. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and do a feeds stack. All right. And we're going to do here. Okay. Okay. So inside feeds, I'm going to go ahead and add in a CSV feed. Okay. And, we're going to do, ID, comma, label. Okay. And I'm just going to add in here, 1 second. Let's just do, all right, we're just going to do this and we're going to do, 1 comma, Joe, 2 comma, Josh, 3 comma, Jacob, 4 comma, Jessica, and then 5 comma, Fran. Okay. That's the Workman family if you didn't know. Okay. We're just going to take this data. I'm going to plop that in. Okay. And then we're going to take this container. I'm going to plop it there. Okay. And we're going to delete that one. All right. And then on here in the button label, we're going to put in the ID. All right. And then over here, we're going to put in the, what I say? I said label. I think it should have been name. All right. I put label. Yeah. ID and label. Okay. Now you're going to have multiple fields, right? You're probably going to customize the link and you'll probably customize the content. I'm not going to do that for right now. Okay. But that essentially should be it. When I load this page, we should have 5 of these and they should all work independently. Okay. So as you see there, they all work independently. The stacks ID duplicates, not allowing for changes in the selection. I don't know what you mean. Radio and checkbox still has the feeds error. There is no feeds error. As I was showing you, you don't need a form. There is no form here at all. It's just a radio. That's it. Okay. But yeah, as you see, pretty cool. Now, with that said, I think Peekaboo has some interesting features to it. And I do think I will eventually add feeds support to Peekaboo so that you can have Peekaboo inside of a feed and then use some of its cool features because it has definitely some other features that aren't available in what we've done here. Okay. But this gets pretty darn close. Okay. So yeah, there we go, guys. I think it's pretty fun. It was kind of a crapshoot. I had the idea that I thought this would work, and I was like, I'm pretty certain this is going to work. It's going to be pretty slick. And I built it. You saw me build it live here, just kind of figuring it all out. And that's actually an interesting thing too, is, you know, watching someone figure something out. I will go ahead and post the link to this project file in the community for this live stream. Okay, I'll post a comment with the download. Okay, so you guys can have this project file. Yeah, pretty cool. Again, that does have that, to get the radio and checkbox stuff working. It needs that pretty advanced selector, right? With that has stuff, which is slicker than snot. Okay. So yeah, cool. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you learned something. Yeah, got awesome stuff coming soon. Total CMS 2 beta is out. Working on, as I said in the Weaver Bytes, I'm working on Audio Pro. Think of Video Pro, but for audio. Okay. Hopefully with CTAs and playlists and all that stuff as well. Okay. Imagine integrating that with feeds and having an RSS feed or a podcast feed displaying your podcast inside Audio Pro. Managing that podcast through Total CMS 3 one day. Yes, that would be cool. So anyway, there we go. Hope everyone enjoyed today. Hopefully see you on Friday at the Hangout. Yeah, have a great rest of your week, guys. We go out there and make your website